little couple minutes after there, but we'll get started now. So my name is Andy Godfroy. I am the founder of the Mostly Monthly Reading Series. We've been doing this since 2013, and almost that entire time we've been able to partner with Bamboo Ridge, who's here today. Last semester we had Wing Tech come read from his new book. I can't remember who it was before that, but I've featured at least 10 Bamboo Ridge readings in the last 12 years. So it's been a great partnership, and I'm really lucky to have them both as a publisher, because it gives opportunity to see local writers and give local writers a chance to get published, which really helps with motivation. I also am excited that this series continues because, as you all know, West Oahu needs more events. So I try to provide what space I can. And also it gives a chance for people to recognize our campuses here. Almost every reader who's ever come here was really surprised about how nice it is. They're like, oh, I thought it was a portable. And then they get here and they're like, oh, this is actually a really nice campus. So it's a great opportunity for people to find out about West Oahu, and for me to share kind of our island's literary tradition with the students here, which is really important to me. I was inspired by all the events I used to go to, both at Manoa and a few here early in the years. And then also I was a big fan of the Mixing Innovative Arts series, which unfortunately did not survive COVID, I don't think, but it was a great chance to see readers and really enjoy the written work. So today we are featuring 4 readers. Our 5th reader unfortunately was not able to make it. And they each bring a kind of a different flair and a different style. So it's kind of a cool opportunity. It's one of the great things about having a book like this, where it's not, it's not an anthology. It's a collection of works. So you're going to get different styles and different kind of ideas about what writing can be, where with a kind of unlimited creativity, which I really love about it. So without further ado, I'll have one of the readers come up to introduce each other, and we'll get started. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you for hosting this wonderful, mostly monthly event. We're very fortunate when we have these nice reading spaces that are available to us. And thank you all for attending. I know there's some bribing going on, but it's really nice to see all of your young faces. My name is Cathy Song, and I am the current editor of Bamboo Ridge Press. And the works being read today are from our most recent issue 126. And it was guest edited by Victoria Nalani Newbold, one of Hawaii's premier playwrights. So we're very fortunate to have had her guest edit this issue. Let me see. Okay, so Bamboo Ridge, Journal of Hawaii Literature and Arts. We recently celebrated our 45th anniversary. And yes, I mean, that's pretty amazing. We're considered one of the longest running independent journals in America. And it was founded in 1978 by 2 writers, Eric Chalk and Dara Lum. And the mission at its inception was to foster the appreciation, understanding, and creation of literary, visual, and performing arts by, for, and about Hawaii's people. The founding editors recognized that there was a wealth of stories here in Hawaii that wasn't being heard or told in the mainstream presses at the time. And as you can see here, every issue, we really like to also feature an artist who has some connection to Hawaii. This particular artist is Clemson Lamb. He lives on the Big Island. As a nonprofit organization, we're funded by book sales, subscriptions, individual donors, and grants. But I believe the secret to its longevity is largely due to the dedication and commitment of people who truly believe in the value and necessity of a press that offers space for the one and the many voices of our islands to be heard, to flourish and succeed. We have published more than 1,000 writers in our 45 years. Now we are entering precarious times where many freedoms we've taken for granted are ruthlessly and lawlessly being taken away. For example, to apply for a National Endowment for the Arts grant now requires complying to new rules that exist, forbidding the use of such words as diversity, culture, identity, core essential values of what Bamboo Ridge was founded on. Reading and writing, literature, journalism, books, newspapers are key to having a healthy, democratic society with citizens that have an independent mind, that you don't just like follow without question the party line, what they want you to know or think. So beware, folks, censorship is trying to make a comeback. Although the tyrannical impulse of oppression occurs on personal levels, as well as societal ones, trying to silence the one and the many voices of the beautiful human spirit has shown through time that that's impossible. Okay. I want to read a poem that is not in this issue, but I wrote during season 1 of the Trump administration. Now we're in season 2, okay? And I am just really upset, just really upset. So this is a poem I wrote, when season 1. This poem is called The Man Who Claims. The man who claims he can see ghosts lets it be known that he alone can fix it. Look how they swarm, like flies to excrement. He jabs at nothing we can see. He shudders with aversion, offering a sampling of protection, mumbling prayers. The man who claims he can see ghosts tells tales about those who would harm us, feeding on our unhappiness. Look how they loiter, thirsty and shiftless, woeful as tumbleweeds. His is a desire to fence all of us. The man who claims he can see ghosts stirs the winds of ill will, stale as the breath of a court eunuch, leaking secrets, nuggets of misfortune, gossip for future ammunition. He stages the illusion in hypnotic procession, swaying chandeliers of incense to mask his own stench. Oh, the things he can see, dropping predictions the way he dips cake into tea, pronouncing dead on arrival the undeserved, gripped by rigor mortis of their own bad luck. We sigh, so glad it isn't me. Pretender of mercy, he sprinkles prayers like holy water without getting dirty. The man who claims he can see ghosts boasts that he has been given a mandate from heaven to sweep the land of vermin. The toll it takes leaves him no rest. He calibrates for effect the burden, appears for our sake spent. The man who claims he can see ghosts swoops down on the elderly. They hand him life's meager savings. He profits from disaster, sniffing through wreckage, carting away the repossessed. In each possession, he polishes his reflection. The man who claims he alone can see ghosts rise and groans and imitates those stuck in the unspeakable realms of hell. He calls forth the entities that have set up housekeeping, asking volunteers to submit to a thorough cleansing. We step forward, unable to resist his theatrics, grasping, gushing, so willing to be under a spell. His compensation is our devotion. We rush to carry his throne. And you know, poetry can also be good fun. I'll read a one on a lighter note. And it's dedicated to my husband and sons. It's called South Shore Riders. I hear them discussing the merits of the latest acquisition, a longboard or a thruster, bemused by the phallic imagery. Crouching in swim trunks, the off-duty uniform ready to deploy at a moment's notice. They scribble like kids with crayons, sex wax onto their boards. At the dinner table, they confer about the extended forecast, dawn patrol or pauhana, depending on the surf report, or cryptic and monosyllabic grunting into the phone, they answer a morning's wake-up call. South Shore Riders, my husband and sons, know when it's too gnarly. Disappointed after scanning the horizon with binoculars, it's guaranteed to be victory at sea, a blowout. When an offshore breeze is ruffling and the surface is glassy, they're out the door paddling toward that one clean break. They wait, straddling gently bobbing boards. As the feathering walls approach, they turn and jostle for position, take off with ease and ride, slipping into a pitch-perfect portal that lasts a few seconds, one they'll talk about until the next elusive one. I never got back on that wave pounded at 17 by the surf and Makapu'u that wrung me like a washing machine, heedless and haughty when I entered the water, disgraced and graceless when my brother, so shame, pulled me out. I overhear the banter as I walk the cliff at Diamond Head, surfers exchanging nods, a cool lift of chin and eyebrows, knowing looks I'm not privy to. Oh man, old man's wasted me. Quartz was cranking yesterday. See you at Suicides. Thank you. A real surfer here is Marion Lyman-Mersereau. She identifies as local with Chinese and Hawaiian koko on her makua kanisai, even though her skin tells another story. She looked really haole. She treasures the pidgin she learned by osmosis. Her olelo is a work in progress. Someday she'd like to hakua mele in naturally poetic olelo. Ladies and gentlemen, Marion Lyman-Mersereau.
Aloha mai kako. It's wonderful to see such a gathering, and West Side is not an area I frequent, and so amazing as your teacher suggested. We come out here from town, and we're just like, wow, this is an amazing campus you all have here. But it looks like till you all showed up, walking through from the parking lot, it was like nobody goes to this school. Where are all the students? It was so empty. Are there just plenty places to hide that you're not all out in spaces? People nodding back there. How many of you kind of do the remote thing? Uh-huh. Yeah, it's comfortable, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start with a somewhat heavy poem that went into this issue. I tend not to go very dark, but this time and these things happen, so I'm going to follow up with the political that Cathy started us with. It's called Fairytales. Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you. Our jazz pianist neighbor noodles the tune, and I recall fairy tales with monsters, ogres, witches, but none of the villains packed assault rifles. There was always a way to avoid trouble from the monster. Trick the trickster. Someone could help you escape from the ogre or remove the witch's spell. There was time to realize danger, then strategize. But bullets from the barrel of an AR-15 are able to pulverize human organs like a ripe watermelon dropped on concrete in seconds. A group of innocent children or adults become a massacre. Parkland, Sandy Hook, San Bernardino, Las Vegas, on and on. Thoughts and prayers are all that come from those on the take, to the tune of millions that slip quickly into back and front pockets, over and under the table. There must be a way out, a way to shout, nevermore, to the Peter Pan Neverland boys who fly in their fantasy world and never grow up. So this next one is appropriate, like right about now. I hope I didn't offend, but maybe I did. um, it's as many of you might know, it's Saturday was the 50th anniversary of the birth of Hokulea, or I should say the launching of Hokulea. In 1974, I just finished college and I met Herb Kauai Nui Kane. And I met him on a sail. It was the annual Labor Day sail from Lahaina to Honolulu, which usually takes about 5 hours with a nice trades, but it took 17 hours because there was no wind. I got to talk to Herb for a very long time, and he was telling me about this canoe that they were going to sail, that were now in the process of building, and they were going to sail it to Tahiti with a navigator who would not use any modern instruments, but only his knowledge of the stars, ocean swells, cloud formations, birds. And I got very excited. And I said, how can I get involved? And they said, well, he said, you could go down and help build the canoe. And I said, I made a cutting board in 8th grade. But that's about, my skill level. And he said, just go down and offer, your kokua. So I went down, and the boat builder handed me a cleat that he had just penciled out on a block of wood and pointed to the jigsaw and said, go cut this out. And I was like, Mr. Woodward would never let us work on the jigsaw. He said, yeah, watch your fingers. So I got very excited, and I was substituting between Punahou and Kamehameha. I was coaching gymnastics up at Kamehameha, and I was starting to say no to those sub jobs because I was so enjoying working with my hands, which I had never done before. I'd only been a teacher and coach, and you don't really see anything tangible come out of that. Maybe you get a win with your racing canoe, but other than that, it's nothing you can touch. So I was working on that boat, building her until 1975, March 8th, when she was launched at Kualoa. And she was just honored, as some of you know, on Saturday, which was March 8th, 2025, after 50 years of sailing. And she's been around the world, thousands and thousands of miles. She sailed all over the Pacific as well as circling. I finally did get my wish of being involved, meaning wanting to be a crew member after helping build the boat. After they said in 1976, for sure, Marion, you'll be on board if we take women. That if got louder and louder. I got to accepted into the Peace Corps, where I had asked to go to be on an island in the Pacific where it was warm after being landlocked in Colorado in college. And my oldest brother was on the original sail. Another brother was on the return. And I wasn't bitter. I came back, they talked about doing the 78 voyage. And my brother got me involved again. And this is the story of how that went. I did make crew. And this is my latest iteration of that experience. Wen Go II. The kapena never let go. He thought he the one get authority. Stay choke windy, 8 to 10 feet in the Kaiwi, but Fasi and Ariyoshi went give us laid at March Day 78. We went drink kava and clap our hands. The crowd went sing Hawaii Aloha, and we went tell Ahui Hod and went throw the dock lines and sail so fast past Waikīkī. The holes went gallop up, then down the swells of the Kaiwi. The lashings went creak, the ocean went splash. The sky stay clear, the stars stay bright. Then at midnight, the kapena went yell, all hands on deck, go help bail, he tell. Then one big swell went lift up one hull, and one big gust make like we just one leaf on top the ocean. And when huli, the huge canoe, we hang on tight all night. We stay wet, we stay cold. Some stay sick on this now not going Tahiti trip. One guy like paddle a surfboard for save the crew. This Waimea lifeguard when rescue hundreds of folks. Some malahini, some drunk mokes. Any kind loss of life, this Hawaiian like prevent. The kapena never like give consent. He say, try wait for the planes in the morning light. We hang on tight all night. We hear, see, feel each swell. They break white. We stay wet, we stay cold. Some stay sick on this now not going Tahiti trip. The skies stay clear, the stars stay bright. The morning never had one flight. We went drift far from any kind airplane lane. The lifeguard guy went axe again. The kapena went axe some other man, then the guy went tied aboard to him. This guy went surf huge Waimea, vivo ole, no fear. He don't like wear the life vest. He don't like extra gear. We hold hands, say one pule. He went go on top his knees and went paddle away. We hang on tight, now stay light. We still see the swells break white. We stay wet, we little bit warm. Some stay sick on this, now not going Tahiti trip. The skies stay clear, the sun stay bright. Later that second night, had one flight. When see the flares, we went shoot. They circled 3 times, then blinked the lights. Later, we tell our helicopter pilot, one guy went leave for save our crew. He went paddle away from the canoe for go find our rescue. Plenty people went go search. Then few weeks later, we go church at the beach that he went guard. Waimea Bay stay like his backyard. The man stay great who give his life for his friends. That's from the good book, the kahu went tell. Then the bay rise up with one big swell. Some say Eddie went go, but seems like he stay close kind to the bay.
Marion has also written a children's book about this event. Yeah. So beautiful picture book. Okay, our next reader is a very frequent contributor, Joseph Stanton, who has lived in Hawaii since 1972. He has published 8 books of poems, including Prevailing Winds and A Field Guide to the Wildlife of Suburban Oahu. His work has appeared in many magazines, including Bamboo Ridge, Poetry, New Letters, Antioch Review, Harvard Review, and New York Quarterly. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Stanton.
Okay, first I'm going to read the poems that are in this issue. First one is Hiroshige, and many of you know this artist. Honolulu Museum of Art actually has one of the best collections of Hiroshige in the world. And so these pieces that I refer to in my poem actually are sometimes on display there. Also, at the end of my piece, I refer kind of obliquely to the death poem that Hiroshige wrote. Hiroshige. Hiroshige, you traveled your vision for an endless procession of emotions, rendered as exquisite landscapes. You understood the slant of rain upon scurrying Tokaido travelers. You taught us how to see the sudden shower as a grid of inescapable diagonals. You knew how to make an absence of ink into a profundity that hunches the lonely, snow-covered walkers into themselves. Clenched in the grip of cholera, you died in pain, but since you softened the world into designs, I will do the same with your death. In Moonlight at Kanazawa, one of your last works, you revealed a vulnerable peninsula, stark against melancholy, moon-shimmered waters. The zigzag of geese threading the moon pointed you the way. Leaving your brush on the Azuma Road, you went to see the famous, unforeseeable sights. Next poem is Rainbow over River Street. Many of you may know that River Street is right behind what we call the Cultural Plaza. They have tables back there where frequently people play mahjong and do other things back there. And there's that area no longer, the road doesn't have automobiles go. It's sort of become a place where people hang out. Rainbow over River Street. A rainbow sings low over River Street's bridge after bridge after bridge. A chorus of curves. The bright clack-clack of mahjong tiles keeps time in the key of light. So the next one is actually called Mongoose, and I live on a ravine, so I see those critters quite a bit. Mongoose. A ribbon of fur streaks across my sidewalk, then rises on its hind legs, head slightly bent, long neck arched, a sleek question mark, gazing sharply at me, with a fierce, fearless, ice-cold calm, as if asking, "What are you doing here?" So I wanted to share a little bit from a couple of my other books. This Prevailing Winds, 2022. So I'm going to read pieces inspired by endangered or actually extinct birds. I'm really into birds. And this one is about an endangered bird. The Night of the ʻōʻō. Young shearwaters fledge on clear nights, flying off their nested places of birth, seeking the brightest part of the sky. In olden days, that would aim them towards moon and stars. Astronomical ambition leading them always offshore to commence careers feeding on high seas. But now our nighttime electrification sometimes confuse their flights, so that fledged night birds descend on backyards, on shopping malls, on all our lighted places. Some autumn nights, flocks of shearwaters rain down suddenly on a high school football game. Making it seem a scene by Hitchcock, The horror mostly in the heart of the birds, who cannot lift off from level ground and need to be, by the kindness of strangers, carried to the sea. So this one is about an extinct bird, and the Last Kauaʻi ʻōʻō. In 1983, in the highest branch of a tree in a deeply forested place, a male ʻōʻō called and called to his mate. Ringing tones, echoing, far and far. A quarter mile at least, his yearning bell tolling the remains of wild Kauaʻi. In the pauses between the calling, he was gathering, building the nest his mate would need, building it stronger, building it better, building towards her return. At least once every year, he was seen to try his song. His cry eerie, penetrating. In 1987, his song soared one last time, and then arrived the silence, and he was known to be, at last, the last of his kind. An ornithologist actually recorded the last Kauaʻi ʻōʻō song, so you can actually go online and listen to that if you're interested in that. And I wanted to share a little bit from, this is another book, A Field Guide to the Wildlife of Suburban Oahu. I've always loved my title for that. So here's a poem about a thing that we see happen every April. You may know that the plovers are birds that have, of course, been here before human beings were on Hawaii. They make their 3,000-mile trip to Arctic regions where they have their mating, and there's lots of food there, of course, at that time. And so this is a little bit about them, but also about kind of being a suburban person. Spring training in Aiea. On this raised ground, this April playing field, high on the heights above the ships and subs of Pearl Harbor, my 9-year-old and I play pitch and catch, hurrying against the coming dusk. We would have all the field to ourselves, if not for the gathering plovers, preening the wide wings that will carry them through 3,000 miles of flight, unbroken across the unforgiving blue expanse of Pacific Sea, a trip they will make any day now. Today, perhaps, we will see them leave. We are ready for our season and they for theirs. But our suburban world and this vast plover place do not touch. Even when we switch to batting practice and my son's hits send the birds scattering this way and that, we are no more to them than wind or grass. It is so lovely high and breezy here. The clouds steep against the ko'olaus, the waianaes in the distance heave stark silhouettes against the sun that plunges down to the leeward sea. The ball floats so cleanly and true through the high blue and orange of the day-ending sky that all this could almost be song. The stitchings of the high pitch go round and round, flickering red against the smudged white as the aria tumbles its aerial trajectory. The plovers, too, sing a song now and then as they fly from one spot to the next. Every bird or ball must come down somewhere, and always ground or sea is waiting. But the sky is capable of holding so much, turning it all carelessly in its hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Our last reader for today is Lloyd Yamashige. He is taught at Highlands Intermediate, McKinley High, and the longest at Nanakuli High and Intermediate. Go Hawks. After growing up and living in the backstreets of Waikīkī for 24 years, being away from the area now brings reality and fantasy together in his many memories of his childhood home. Ladies and gentlemen, Lloyd Yamashige.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
This is called the Backstreets of Waikīkī. I grew up in the backside of Waikīkī, where towering mango trees drop their ripe fruit on loose graveled, narrow roads. Cars with bulbous fenders and running boards flatten the yellow-orange fruit, making a tropical colored game board for my friend, Ray Boy, and me to make our way through, trying not to step on the gooey patches and get the sticky mess on our feet. It took days for the mangoes to dry and shrivel in the sun, unless Waikiki brought a heavy rain to flood these once low-lying taro fields and float the skins, seeds, and pulp to the side of the road where they eventually disappeared into the ground. Rayboy was an ace marble player. How many of you have played marbles when you're growing up? When we played 5 holes with the other kids, he always became a killer first and took us out even before we started going around the world. He could position a smooth rock, another marble, the top of my right foot, and use the side of a tree and fire his shooter, ricocheting it off these objects before having it roll obediently into a hole. When we were done playing, he placed his shooter in his right pants pocket and his other marbles in his left pocket. He said he kept his prize shooter, a blue-tinged clear marble with clouds swirling in golden rays, in a secret place at home. Rayboy and I and the other kids played in a schoolyard across the street from where we all lived. Waikiki observed us through the eyes of white monoaku that flew high above us in the cool trades that also came down to us most days of the year. I admired and envied Rayboy for his marble skills, as well as Nani, Kathleen, and brother. Nani was our best tree climber. She seemed to have lizard adhesive under her feet. With the moves of a lemur she had seen at the zoo, she would, from the bottom of the schoolyard's huge, well-pruned Chinese banyan, jump and climb upward from branch to branch, get to the top branches, poke her head above the highest leaves, and wave to us as we stood farther away in the middle of the schoolyard. Kathleen, oh, Kathleen. Kathleen was a fast and agile runner. When playing sky inning, she would stand to the side of the batter, and when the ball was hit hard and high to the open field, she could still get under it and catch the ball with one hand. When playing chase master, even if she were standing in front of us, we could not touch her because of her quick sidestepping, bending, or arching movements to avoid our tags. Brother was a great juggler. He would start with 2 mangoes I handed him from our tree. Then someone would throw him a butternut candy bar, and then the handle end of a broken bat, then a rubber slipper, then a Superman comic book. And while keeping the object circulating in the air, he would unwrap the candy bar, take bites of it, and toss back each item to its owner until all but the candy bar was returned. As for myself, I had often wished I could run fast or jump high or do anything well, but without any talent or skill to speak of, I was nevertheless entertained by and never got tired seeing my friends, even while I envied them, use their talents in the schoolyard where we played. But one day, Waikiki, as I would explain with a smile many years later, was rearranging its closet when it unknowingly dropped a gift into the ocean, which happened to make its way to me. One morning, Oji-chan took Rayboy and me to Kuhio Beach, where we swam and made sandballs, throwing them in the water to see their splash and hear their plop. Then we went for a walk on the other side of the Watch Out Deep Holes wall towards the natatorium. Rayboy and I had just been here a week ago, riding our hand-shaped plywood paddleboards on some of the small waves. Suddenly, a huge rogue wave crashed on shore, knocking me off my feet. Oji-chan and Rayboy were higher up on the sand and were able to skirt the fast-moving shore break. The wave pushed me higher up on the beach and then dragged me straight out the other way. I was able to keep my head above water as I was swiftly carried out to cold, deep water. Then another huge wave crashed directly on me, thrusting me far down into an industrial washing machine. The strong, fierce jets of water tumbled my body in the wash, jerking and splaying my arms and legs like strips of paper in front of a fan. As the thrashing slowed down, I opened my eyes slightly and saw dark seaweed shapes and a blur of sand, and so quickly looked in the other direction. Above me were yards and yards of sunlit, silky water, and beyond that, a wavy background of blue sky. This way was up. A question immediately came to me. Did I have enough air to make it to the surface? As I righted my body and was about to stroke and kick myself upward, I was held in place by a downward rush of water that, to my surprise, felt wonderfully warm. The water felt kindly, and despite my dire situation, I couldn't help but give in to it. The water giving me the same warmth as being in my bed under my futon on a cold morning. I knew I had only so much air, but then another thought. I could stay here. As I would describe years later, suspended between the earth and sky, motionless, calm, and it would be all right. That there would be enough air for me. I saw the rippling water above me, shimmering in the blue and golden light, and in front of me, a watery expanse of blue-gray ocean. Here, now, was a pushing apart of past and future by this one beautifully long present. But then another change. Cold water surged from below me, pushing me upward. I felt my face cut through the water, and then I burst through the surface into the golden sunlight and the bright blue sky. I took a deep breath and began treading water. My grandfather had swum out to me and shouted my name, Taro, so loudly he scared me for a moment. Daijoubu? He asked. I'm okay, I said. Together, we breaststroked the shallow water and then walked up on shore, where I sat down and faced the ocean. Rayboy didn't say anything to me, but looked carefully at me as if looking for strange behavior after being underwater for so long. I told him I could breathe underwater. And Rayboy looked at me with a puzzled, surprised look. How you could do that? He asked. I don't know, I just could. I felt no ill effects from my underwater experience. But the next day, there was something I found different about me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lloyd. Thank you to all our readers. And again, thank you all for being here today and for attending this mostly monthly reading. Thank you.